I'm Richard Martin of M&A TV. I'm here with Claudia Iannazzo, who is the managing partner and co-founder of AlphaPrime Ventures. Welcome, Claudia.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at AlphaPrime Ventures?
So I'm one of the general partners with AlphaPrime. We're a New York-based venture capital firm that focuses on safety and security technologies.
Cool. So you sat on a panel earlier today discussing CFIUS, and one of the things I'd like to explore further is how is technology going to help or hinder the implementation of CFIUS, and what can we do?
Yeah, I think this is our biggest opportunity with some of these regulations. The world is becoming vastly more complicated. We have to stop writing legislation that assumes we have the technology level of the 1950s. So one of my challenges to this administration, future administrations, is to stop writing legislation that assumes we have the level of technology in front of the committee that we had in the 1950s. You think about CFIUS, it's written submissions, it's written interrogatories, it's subpoena powers, etc. It's still a very antiquated way of doing business. And where the opportunity lies here is to start to use different technological solutions that exist to tag bad actors, bad patterns of behaviour, be able to quantify and identify anomalous behaviour that you're trying to avoid. And so this is the opportunity that there is with CFIUS, but which I fear, unfortunately, no one is even looking at this issue. We're still looking at widening the regulation so it's flexible enough for a modern era, rather than applying the technology of the modern era to help us make better decisions and faster decisions.
Sure, which was going to lead to my next point, which was that who has to take the lead to make the technology either available or the legislation fit the technology that's available?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer on this one. I do think that you need to assign task force to look at these specific issues. So without budget to look at these issues, no one is going to look at them. So it is possible to repurpose budget that is being used in other security aspects within the government and repurpose it to this purpose if there's a willingness and an interest in doing it. I think there is interest in avoiding perhaps undesirable actors owning sensitive national assets. How you define that is getting very, very complicated. So I would think where that is of interest, budget should be available for it. But then the government's going to need to get the best and the brightest from the tech industry to help them solve this. And that'll be a whole new challenge.
Interesting. So tell me a little bit about private equity and how organizations can utilize them as a vehicle to have access to technology implementation.
So, obviously I'm biased, but I think if you are after an economic exposure to the US tech industry, for example, or US security innovations and how that market is moving, if you are from an organization, a country that may encounter CFIUS issues, investing in a private equity vehicle as a passive investment is a great way to get economic exposure to those markets without running into CFIUS challenges around how much control, how much say, how much influence. I think private equity is an excellent vehicle for investing in to get those exposures. I also think private equity is a very experienced vehicle to invest in. So private equity is in many ways much more innovative in how it invests and how it structures its investments in order to comply with CFIUS. So for those investors who are less experienced, private equity actually provides a path to be able to make investments when ordinarily if you go in a much more basic investment structure, you can't get the approvals that you need.
Well, thank you, Claudia. It's been great talking to you. We've been here with Claudia Iannazzo, and I'm Richard Martin from M&A TV. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.